get ready to dust off your passport and pack your bags because you'll want to book your own adventure after watching this episode of Lori and Cher.
Welcome to the Lori and Cher Show, Hacking into Awesome. I'm Lori Williamson.
And I'm Cher Jones.
And if you don't know, Cher and I are cousins, and we host this weekly Google Plus Hangout where we talk to absolutely amazing people and literally hack in to what makes them awesome.
And tonight is going to be an awesome show because it's all about adventure and travel. But we want to make sure in the meantime, don't go anywhere. We want you to get social with us. So we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Google Plus as Lori and Cher. And of course, we want to shout out our fan of the week who has always been amazing on all of those networks, actually. So her name is Rona Berry Morin, and you can see her website right there and also hit her up on Twitter. And she has been phenomenal, an amazing supporter of our show, and we just want to shout you out and say, hey, you're the fan of the week. Thank you so much, Rona. You're awesome.
Woo! Rona always has good comments, so yes, she's totally the fan of the week.
Absolutely. And, of course, our producer is going to find his way on Twitter tonight. I know right now he's just wrapping up another show on the radio, so he'll be with us soon. So you'll be tweeting with either Lori or our producer, Adriel, tonight, and he's just awesome. And, of course, if you want to make sure you get our attention, you can always hashtag the tweet with Lori, hashtag Lori and Cher. And, of course, if you're watching this from the Google Plus page, which is one of the best places to watch the show, we will be able to feature your comments live and your questions, so keep them coming.
Awesome. So this show tonight is for anyone who loves to travel or is too afraid to travel. You have to watch this show. For anyone who's in business for self or is thinking about maybe what are the tips and tricks that they can use in order to kind of jump off their business. Tonight we're hacking into adventure with the founder of Nomadness TV, Evita Robinson, who has turned her passion into a full-fledged business, and perhaps so can you. So we're so excited to welcome Evita, aka Evie, onto the show. How's it going, Evie?
It's amazing. Thank you, ladies, for having me. This is fun.
Okay, you know what? We were excited because I love this. When we were talking about who's gonna be on the show, we always reach out to different people who are doing awesome things, and I love travel. Mm-hmm. But my cousin Cher, what Cher? Tell us, Cher.
Traveling for me is a stretch. I don't like change. Yeah. Okay. I don't like new things. I mean, no, I'm not a good. I'm not a good. I mean, I don't know. I don't like adventure. I'm afraid of it. I'll just put it like that. Lori has heard me go on rants and stuff like that. I can't do it.
Well, not every trip has to be adventure, though. You can have calm, you can have, sexy, you can have cultural. There's so many types of ways that you can really put it together to make it fit for you. So we don't have to be jumping off of stuff on every trip. It's all right.
I'm not talking about that kind of adventure. I'm talking about eating different food and seeing different bugs and maybe going through things that are just not what I'm used to. I'm not really good with that sort of thing. I haven't even got to the cliff diving and jumping and stuff like that because that's way beyond my...
And let me tell you, there's this place in South Africa. We posted it a couple months ago in our Facebook page. I don't know if you've seen it. It's like this, they're on a waterfall, and you can into the water, and it's like a pool, but it's right beside the falls, and you have tour guides, and we posted it, and we're like, who would be more likely to do this, Cher or I? And I guess people didn't really know us at that point, so people were like, oh, I think Cher would. And it's farther from the truth.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I actually have had dreams about doing that because I said it's so crazy, and I'm like, why not live that life?
Right. I think it's by Victoria Falls. We actually have, because the trip that we just got back from was South Africa, so we actually had a couple people after our Nomadness trip was done, and Victoria Falls was one of the spots. That exact pool. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Did you do it?
I didn't do it. I wasn't there. I actually stayed a couple extra days in Johannesburg once the trip was done.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Well, we wanted to because we know that you have, with your group, you've traveled all over the place, and we wanted to kind of kind of kick off the show with a little bit of kind of like a game / advice, to kind of just warm up the show tonight.
Right.
So, I want to kick it off for us.
Okay. So basically this game is all about, the saying, when in Rome, what must you do? So basically we're going to give you a bunch of different places, and we want to know what you need to do, what's a must do for you, and why.
Okay.
So kick it off with the first one. When in Paris?
You have to get in front of the Eiffel Tower at night. Every hour on the hour, it actually lights up and it starts sprinkling every single hour, and it's so beautiful, so romantic. You have to see the Eiffel Tower at night once the sun goes down.
I love that. You know what? I'm going to watch this because I'm going to go back and I'm going to these are all the things that I must do.
It'll become like this Nomadness treasure hunt. Anywhere you go, you're scavenger hunting what you must do.
I love it because, Lori is in love with Paris. I know that's one of the places on her bucket list, and Lori is the traveler of the two of us. The furthest I've been is Jamaica. Actually, I went to Cuba once. I went to Cuba once and the Dominican Republic, like that, and that was on a missions trip, and that was way outside my comfort zone. But Lori, I know if there's one place that Lori could go, it would be Paris, and she's been all over.
I used to live there. I lived there that was the first place that made me an expat. And I lived there right after I graduated from college.
We also had a viewer and a close family friend of the show, Patricia. She went and she was studying in Paris for the beginning part of this year, I think for 5 or 6 months. And honestly, I see her tweet. She learned how to speak French. And I think she was talking about, the other day, someone was talking about, I think it was bread or baguettes, French baguettes.
I love them.
Yeah, I know that I definitely want to have a Nutella. I'm not even a diehard Nutella, but I hear in Paris it's going up Nutella.
The crepes, you have to do it. You have to do it. I actually lost 15 pounds in a month just living in Paris.
Really?
And, yeah, even though I was eating carbs and baguettes, I literally had a baguette with my lunch every single day, I still lost weight just because the food doesn't have as many preservatives. Even when you look at, I remember one of the things that bugged me out in Paris was the pasta was so vibrant as it boiled, it almost looked like it could glow in the dark. And I'm like, this looks crazy. It's bright yellow, and it's because a lot of the preservatives and stuff that they, pump our food with in the States anyway is just it's horrendous for us. But just eating regularly but natural, stuff was awesome. And I lost weight just living there.
I love that idea, and I want to just shout out everybody who is watching right now, and one of our favorites, Carmen Rojas, she's saying, Lori Williamson, sushi, cliff diving, never a dull moment with you, girl, and that is so true when it comes to Lori.
Nice.
Sushi, come on, Carmen. Sushi is the tamest, easiest thing to do. It's just it's a mental thing, but the flavors are there. Even Cher went for her anniversary this weekend. She went to a sushi restaurant, and we know if you've seen the video of Cher trying sushi, come on, Carmen, come to Toronto and you need to try it with me.
And just another shout out to Ella Rucker. She's watching. Yay, watching some amazing women. Love it. She's been Mentor Mondays, and she manages all that. She's just awesome. And so thank you, Ella, for watching. We appreciate all the comments coming through. Keep them coming, guys. We appreciate it. So back to our game. So we talked about Paris. Let me just get this off. And funny enough, Kofi Dawson said, I'm getting hungry, apparently.
I know, Kofi. It's so funny.
Oh, I love it. We're going to have fun tonight. Lori and I just found a new toy. Thank you so much to Carmen for hooking it up and letting us know how we can get this stuff working on our Hangout, because we love trying new things. So thank you so much. But we're going to head over now to our next journey place. So, when in, this time it's Samoa. What do you do and why?
You have to find the guys that play rugby on the beach.
Oh, yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Tell that story. Do tell.
You just have to find the local guys that play rugby on the beach. You'll see them. I mean, you can't miss them. So, but yeah, you have to find the guy. Rugby is huge there, and a lot of us, myself included, really got put on to how big. And in Samoa, they don't get a lot of Americans there. It's a lot of like Kiwis. There's a lot of Fiji people that are actually there. New Zealand, Australia is big, but the rugby thing is just like out of control. Like you can buy the stuff, you can even buy like the All Blacks, which is the New Zealand team. You can buy a lot of their stuff there, but just the Samoan men are just very built. And
it makes me think of The Rock for some reason. I'm just saying,
he is. He is Samoan, I believe.
Yeah.
Is Jason Momoa Samoan?
Yeah.
Is that yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
somebody is holding that Samoan down in a fierce way.
Right. You just have to, and obviously that's for the ladies, but for in general, because that was very female specific, and I know that there are guys watching. What I would say for Samoa, honestly, is if you can, I would go visit the local villages where the 2009 tsunami hit. And definitely just see a lot of how these people have rebuilt, their families, people have rebuilt, the destruction of fales that you stay in, of houses. It's a very inspiring story in Samoa. Absolutely.
Awesome. I saw the video that you guys did with that man who
Lenny.
tragically lost his two kids. I mean, completely heartbreaking. What did he say? That the wave lasted like 6 minutes or something like that?
Yeah. The whole thing, it was like 2 rounds of the waves, but it was like once it came in and it came out, like he lost 2 of his children. And, he thought he was going to die, and he actually got pulled inland when the second wave came in and was able to, grab like bush and, trees and stuff like that and made it. But he actually did. He lost 2 of his young children. It was crazy because the baby that passed in that situation, his wife was actually holding on to the baby, but the wave was so strong that she couldn't hold on.
Oh my gosh, this sounds devastating. It sounds
and the
devastating.
Perseverance of these people, it's a horrible, horrible, tragic situation. But I think, and this came across well in the in the webisode that you saw for Nomadness in Samoa, is the perseverance that these people have is out of control. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. So I definitely don't want to end it on like a somber note with Samoa, because they're just powerful, beautiful, spiritual, resilient human beings, and it's such a powerful place. Small, but super powerful.
I loved it because, that's close to Hawaii, right?
No, actually it's not. No, it's nowhere near it. Samoa is in the middle of nowhere. It's in the Pacific Islands, but it's very far. The closest mainland to it is really New Zealand. Fiji is close to it as well.
I feel like
it's way out there.
As like Hawaii, and I love Hawaiian culture, so. But yeah.
Right. Well, you'll see similarities with the culture, but it's not. They're nowhere near. Samoa is literally in the middle of nowhere. That was our off the beaten path trip. It took me almost 2 days to get there flying. Like I flew legitimately for like 24 hours, split up. Yeah.
Alrighty then.
Sounds like a plan. So let's move it on to. You had me at beach volleyball. I was just like, okay, I'm there. So the next one is South Africa.
Oh my goodness, that really depends on what city you go to, and I recommend hitting up both Johannesburg and Cape Town. If you're in Johannesburg, what you have to do is you have to go to the Maboneng area. It is just this really dope cultural epicenter of just like young creative entrepreneurs that are really reconstructing their own local neighborhoods and turning it into what they want it to be. And there's something that you can only respect the hell out of when you see these like 22-year-olds that are like running hostels. Like, shouts out to Becky of Curiosity Hostel. Like, these guys, nobody on the staff was over 25 years old. And to be able to have such an impact in the neighborhood that you grew up in, and literally they're buying properties and reconstructing the neighborhood block by block. Like, you have to see what Maboneng is. And I definitely suggest their Sunday market that they have, where all the local restaurants and vendors kind of come in, and it's one place where like the entire neighborhood goes out. As far as Cape Town, you Union Street is like the main street in Cape Town. Cape Town is beautiful. It will blow your mind away. But it literally looks like a carbon copy of Bourbon Street in New Orleans.
Oh, wow.
And we went out on a Saturday night and drank our faces off, and we're in the middle of the street. We were bar hopping. I was like running into bars, dancing for like a song and then leaving. Like, it was just, Cape Town was turned up. It was turned up. So I definitely say you got to get yourself one of the, either a Friday or a Saturday night on Long Street. That's what you need to do there.
Oh, awesome.
Okay. I am already excited because I really am not that traveling. I don't get excited over travel. It scares me. I don't know. I wish I could. I mean, I've been to New Orleans. Like, I've been places in the States, but it's nothing braggable. But as far as going on a plane, on a journey, that is, you know, where you've been, like across the world, that scares the living daylights out of me. So
we got to get you out of that.
Yeah, clearly, right?
And how many times I've been telling her.
Right, we got to get you out.
Like, I think there's so much which we'll talk about later. Yeah, go ahead.
So we'll keep it moving. And guys, those of you guys who are watching right now live, if you have a question, or obviously our guest is so full of information and knowledge. So if you have a question about a place, whether you're thinking about going, she may have the answer. So make sure you send us your message either by Twitter, or also if you're on the live Google Plus events page, you can send us a comment and we'll be able to show it on the screen. So keep it going. But we're going to move on to our next place. So we've talked about Samoa, South Africa, and now India.
You have to go for Holi. You have to go for Holi. Holi is the festival of colors. It is. I've been to I'm going back to India in March, and it's going to be my 4th time.
Oh my gosh.
In like 5 years. I've been going almost every year, and India is just it's intense. Let me just not take anything away from it. It is intense. It's one of the hardest places to travel to. I do not recommend it for a new traveler because
so I won't go.
Get freaked out and you will never want to travel anywhere else again. It's like going into a time machine in many ways. But if you go to India, you have to go for the Holi Festival of Colors. It is where, when you see the crazy pictures, and this is one of those things where I get a little shifty with the United States sometimes, because they kind of want to like take really cool stuff from abroad and bring it over here and turn it into their whole thing. So now you see Holi in the States kind of popping up in all these major cities with like the color run and, you know, people just kind of doing local Holis in their cities. But what it is anytime you see the pictures of the people with the different color paint powders and it's all over their face and like in their hair and all that stuff, that originated in India. And it's called
that after the
Holi Festival of Colors, right? It's called the Holi Festival of Colors, and there is nothing more beautiful, and it's crazy because it's such a poor place, especially like in the northern part of India. There's so much poverty, but when you go for Holi, everybody has a smile on their face. Everybody is vibrant. There's colors everywhere. It's messy. It's childlike. It's joyous, and it really puts in perspective that these people who have so little can have such an amazing time with their life. And it just really, I go to India so much because I need India every couple of years to humble me.
Wow.
It's like that.
It's very easy in New York to get caught up in everything. You know, we're all like that, especially if you're female entrepreneurs, you have something going, you're here, there, you're pop, whatever. And I make a conscious decision, and this is something that I want to do even after I have children, is I want to every couple years keep life in perspective and go to a place that humbles me. Whether the place scares the crap out of me, whether it's the level of poverty that they have there, I need something every once in a while to bring me back to reality and remember how grateful I need to be for the things that I already have. And India does that for me.
I love that. We have a question right now from Karima McFarlane. Evita, how do you handle the food in India? And I know that's a big question.
It's a good question. 2 things. 1, oregano oil. I recommend this to anybody that's going anywhere where they feel like they may be shifty, their stomach may be shifty with any of the food. If they're going to try street food, oregano oil is a natural homeopathic remedy. You just take a couple drops underneath your tongue. It tastes horrendous. It's the most pungent and disgusting smelling thing that you'll ever hear, but it's like a little tincture bottle that's about this big for about $30 US. It's expensive, but it'll last you for a long time. Take oregano oil either before or after eating something that you think may be a little odd, and it's a natural remedy. It kills parasites in your intestines. So it's a good guard against, handling Indian food. The other thing is you obviously don't drink the water there. I brush my teeth with bottled water as well while I'm there. And I'm pescatarian, so I actually don't eat meat. But the hotel and like the accommodations that I have on the Nomadness trips, actually you can eat the meat at the hotels that are there. That I take my people to. We make sure that it's okay, but I stay away from meats. I try to, if I'm in a country where I'm weird about the food, I try to stay as close to a vegetarian diet as possible.
Well, it's funny, Kofi Dawson saying, I got to go to India one day. Seems intense, but in the right way. And based off of what you're describing, yeah, it sure does.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's heard us. I think he's definitely probably, seen us written about it. And even so in Nomadness, as that trip comes again in March, he's going to hear more about it. But the tribe, like, we have amazing. And this year, the way that the trip ended up, it was all women that actually made it into and so it was a very powerful trip for us, especially like during Women's History Month. And Holi changes every year. So sometimes it can range anywhere from like the latter part of February into like the end of March. Like my birthday is March 31st, and we were there during my birthday for my 29th birthday 2 years ago. Yeah.
I don't know that you know what? That's like the one place I'd say like I don't know if I could roll.
Yeah.
It would roll in some places and I could be it, but I don't know. And I think it's really because of like watching like The Amazing Race and stuff like that I'm like, I don't know if I'm going there. I mean, unless it's intense, right?
Yeah, it's definitely intense, but it breaks you down in an amazing way that I think most people are too terrified to ever do, and you will never be tested like that in your normal life. You just won't. And you have to
Bollywood culture.
Step out.
I love Bollywood culture, stuff like that. So I think it is so vibrant with the colors and the music and the stuff like that.
Right.
But I just don't know. Like even Slumdog Millionaire and stuff like that. Like the going to the bathroom situation.
Yeah, it's accurate.
That's my problem right there. The bathroom situation. That was the hardest part when I realized when I went to the Dominican Republic, and this was my first time kind of roughing it, and it was like a mission trip light. And it was basically like I was a youth leader, and we were bringing youth on their first sort of mission trip, and it was my first mission trip, but and only. But it was like the whole like, you wipe your parts with the tissue, and then you put it in a garbage pail that's like there's no cover on the garbage pail. You just put your business there. You can't flush the toilet paper, things like that. And the bathrooms look insane. Like I can barely go to the bathroom in New York, and some fast food restaurants. It's like it looked like a homeless person was like living in the washroom. It's so disgusting.
It's like, well, in Thai, I remember when I first moved out to Japan, the squatters were like the big thing for me, which is like pretty much the hole in the ground that you have to maneuver. And my first it took me getting drunk one night and having to face it for me to figure out how to do it. And I had like one of my friends on the other side like giving me, instructions on how I was supposed to deal with it. But like, I mean, we had sort of literally we went to Pushkar is the desert that is between India and I believe Pakistan actually that we actually go to on our trip. And I remember getting off of the bus, and the girls who went on this trip will remember it, our first year going, we were like, okay, we were just on a bus for about 2.5 hours. Like, where's the bathroom? And the guy looked and he pointed out to the desert. And we were like, word? And he was like, it's cleaner for you to just do whatever you need to do out there than it is for you to try to go into some of these places. And literally there was like 10 of us, 10 of the women, and we went on the side of this spot, like right in the middle, and like lined up, and whatever was going down in the desert. Like it gets real. It gets real.
You know what? I think personally I would prefer to do it in the desert than going into some hole where everyone's been doing their due.
Right.
It's like going into a porta potty. I'm holding it if I'm at a concert or something where, like for instance, we're talking about Caravana earlier. There's like porta potties. I'm not going into a porta potty. I'm going to have to hold that for dear life. So if I was in India, I would want to do it in the desert as well.
Yeah, it was fun, and I mean, it was like a funny bonding experience, or something that we'll never forget. But again, you learn and you reveal levels of yourself, and again, it's one of those things. It makes you grateful for everything that you have, and it really makes you put life in perspective. And I think we all need that, and the majority of the people walking this earth are too terrified to do that.
And Calvin says, "Wow, now I'm scared of India." Thanks, Evie.
You shouldn't be scared of it. You shouldn't be scared of it at all. It's a beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful even in the, you know, to be frank about it. I mean, we get saris made every time we go. So literally we have pictures of all of us in front of the Taj Mahal in saris. Like, you can't imagine the rush that feels like. It is absolutely worth anything. Anybody that has gone on that trip, even people who have gotten sick, anybody who has gone on that trip has hands down been like, yo, I want to go again. Shouts out to Kina in the tribe, because she's actually gone on that trip more than once with us. Wow. And it's like, it's infectious, because it's just, you're on such a high and holy. That's why I say my recommendation for people for India is don't just pack your stuff up and go to India. Go to India for something. And I think Holi is the best time to go if you're trying to tap into India, because everybody is just on an amazing high. It's just a beautiful time to be there.
And I love this comment from Alyssa Williams. Culture shock is real, but that is part of the beauty of exploring the world, to see and know that your way of living isn't everyone's normal. And you touched on that when you were talking about having to visit India, and just to get that, okay, there's the rest of the world out there, and it's not like New York, and people are living in these conditions, and it's something that's grounding and centering and is important. And I found that as well. So in my limited travels, but
and let me tell you, I used to live in New York, and some things, like my bathroom was a horror zone. Like it was a horror zone. That took a real long time for me to get used to it, compared to like kind of the bathrooms that I've like lived in Toronto. So I mean, bathrooms for me, that's a big thing when I travel. Like, it just, you know, it's something that my system has to get used to, just, you know, kind of being like, whatever. I mean, this is like TMI, obviously, but maybe other people have other issues.
Whatever. But this is the type of stuff that people kind of want to know, but probably wouldn't have anybody to ask, because this is real stuff, you know? And like I said, we stay in accommodations that are awesome, and I mean, they're nice. It's like comparable to any hotel that you would stay in the States or in Toronto, but it's just when we get out and we really go in, especially the Nomadness experience, I'm not about all the touristy BS. Like, I really want to see what it's like, and we get into, and we are equally accepted and greeted into the community when we're in India, and that is beautiful. We've been asked to come into people's houses. They didn't even know us. Like, literally, we were partying in the middle of the street, like drinking and dancing and throwing Holi in the air with, like, you know, people that live there. It's just, it's always amazing.
The next place that we have is Spain.
Spain. It depends on where you go, but I vouch for Barcelona, heavy and true. If you go to Spain, you need to go to Jamboree on a Friday night. It is all old school hip hop, and it is the bomb.
Really?
Yes. It is right in Placa Real, which is in the Gothic area of Barcelona, and it's on Friday nights. It is after 12 p.m., go after midnight. And if you want to get bang for your buck, what you should do is they have like 4 or 5 flamenco. There's a spot right on top of Jamboree. It's called Toronto's, and it's a flamenco dance. It's a dance like theater. So you can go catch a flamenco show, and then the ticket that you bought to go into Toronto's get you into Jamboree for free later on that night. And that way you can do, like, get an actual, you know, flamenco dance, and then go in, and I mean, the place gets packed. So get there early, and within like an hour or two, but it's like the most awesome. It's all old school hip hop and R&B all night. Like, I love it. Jamboree Friday nights, Placa Real, Barcelona.
Love it, love it. These are like so insider, the stuff that we're getting to. People, like, this is why we wanted to do this, because we didn't want to be like, oh, you should go and, you know, go to this tourist place. It's like that insider stuff from someone who's, like, in the culture, and, like, that's what I love. Like, people who travel and they don't do, like, the touristy stuff, but they're like, yo, I'm one with the culture. It's so I'm in a Friday night in New York. What would you do? You know, it's answering questions. Right. That's it. Okay, the next one we have is the Netherlands.
Ooh. It depends on what you're into. Parlor Magazine did a funny video recap. I'm not really big into, I don't smoke, and I'm not really big into the drug culture at all. So I was more interested in, like, the sex shows in the red light district. So I would say definitely hit up a sex show, just to see what it's like. It was interesting for me, and interesting is the proper word, because I don't know what I was expecting from it. I don't know if I was expecting it to be this, like, super erotic thing where I was gonna, like, leave there and, like, need to find someone or something immediately. But it was more interesting because it was just, I was in this, like, seedy ass theater. Like, it was just this seedy theater, and there was, like, only a couple people, and I just saw some, like, really crazy stuff happen on stage with, like, some of the audience members. But it was just like there was house music, like, in the background. There was a bar. It was just, it wasn't anything, like, sensual about the whole thing. It was more so like, this is kind of crazy and I need to check this off of my bucket list. But if you can stomach it and you're interested in just seeing what it's like, regardless, you should visit the red light district just to see what something like that looks like as a neighborhood. But if you're into going to a sex show, I just recommend going to a sex show to see what it's like. It's really just, it's mechanical. It's like two bodies having sex. There's not really, like, a connection. But
wow.
You heard it here first, folks. Evita Robinson says go to the sex shows in the Netherlands. Love it. And we're getting a lot of questions, which we will touch on later. So all those people that are asking questions about traveling with families, if you have any recommendations about that, and also honeymoon recommendations. And so we will get to those questions a little bit later. I just want everybody to know that I am seeing them, and we're going to get to them.
Of course.
Do we have any more? Oh, we have one more.
I don't think you've gone there yet, but I feel like I read that you want to go here. So what's the first thing you're going to do when you go to Greece? Because I want to go to Greece. What did you say?
Find a husband. Sisterhood of traveling pants. That's what that is.
Santorini, hands down. My top 3 dream trips, like, for my life have always been interchangeable between, well, Egypt has been number 1, Egypt, Santorini, Greece, and India. And as you've seen, I've done India a couple of times. Santorini is just romantic and beautiful and colorful and, you know, just historical and everything. Like, I see that place and I, like, ooze over pictures of Santorini, Greece. So I honestly don't have anything specific that I want to do there outside of stay in an amazing, amazing accommodation and literally just overlook that just, like, aerial landscape of the ocean and what Santorini is. That's it. I just want a nice glass of white wine,
right?
And sit down.
You are speaking Lori's language.
Because I want to have, like, saganaki. I want to have the fresh. I want to have squid. You know, calamari. I just want to eat the fresh fruit because I know it's like the citrus flavors, and then I just want to dive into that blue water. I don't know if you guys ever saw the Calvin Klein commercial for Blue, where I feel like they're in Greece, but it reminds me of being in Greece, of just being able to, like, dive into the ocean. And I feel like when the Kardashians went there and they were like, they had a yacht and they were diving into the blue sea, like, that's where you want to spend the day. Like, not just the yacht, but I mean, you just want to be in that blue water. It's like being in Croatia. I remember when Beyonce and Jay-Z were, like, on the yacht and they were, like, diving off the boat, and I was like, how to spend a Tuesday afternoon.
Right. Yeah, Santorini, it aesthetically alone, it just blows my mind. But I used to say all the time that I wanted to get married on, like, a black sand beach. And that was really back in, like, college when I first started paying attention. I just Googled it, and then I started seeing pictures of Santorini, and I was like, what the hell is this place? And I've always loved it ever since. And I was doing this thing where I was like holding off for it, like, oh, I want to go there with like, you know, if I'm in a relationship, this, that, and the other. And I'm just like, I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I'm just gonna end up going. Like,
right? Can you book that for next year? Because then I'm gonna go with you on that
right,
madness
right.
trip. Because I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, since you were talking about marriage, Karima McFarland, she's of Black Brides Canada. She has a great website, and she's planning a bridal show. And she is asking, would you recommend what would you recommend for couples as a honeymoon destination? So is it Greece? Is it all these places that you're talking about? Because you guys are going nuts over it. So
Right. I think a lot of it would be budget. Like, really, what does their budget entail? Because the amount of money that you're going to spend in a place like Greece versus a place that is beautiful and stupid cheap, I would recommend Bali. There are so many places that you can really escape and kind of get lost in and still have ridiculous amounts of money. Like, a definite go-to for me for any type of honeymoon for people who are adventurous enough to get out there is hands down is Bali.
See, you're so speaking my language. It's like
know.
all these places that I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I have it on my, like, that's on my vision board is travel.
Yeah.
Like, I have traveled. I haven't traveled this year, but I mean, like, going to those destinations. Like, I'm the type of person that, like, doing like sitting on my couch here in Toronto. So
Right.
I'm the person that would be like, listen, if I have the opportunity to touch down, Bali, Fiji, oh my gosh, all those places.
Oh, Samoa though too. Like when we went, we stayed in fales, which is like their word for houses, but it was literally like the little huts on the beach.
Yes, exactly. Overlooking the water.
Right.
Like,
and it was
you know,
open. You sleep and fall and wake up to the sound of the ocean every day. Like it was like really like it was just being single. Like you sit there like this is ridiculous. Like,
exactly.
What the hell am I even doing here? Exactly. I'm like somebody just needs to like go on that trip and get pregnant off of principle. Like you shouldn't. Like it's just one of those places. It's crazy.
Oh, like the Maldives. Have you been to the Maldives?
I have not, but yeah, I would throw the Maldives, I would throw Bora Bora, I would throw, you know, Fiji, all of those kind of in the same boat, depending on what it is. But then if you're somebody that's not really water and you're looking for a honeymoon, then you have like the Paris that is extremely romantic and very sexy, that you could do something with, especially depending on like, you know, what season it is to go there. But I mean, all of that stuff, I think with travel in general is wrapped around budget. And then you can have kind of like toned down versions like the British Virgin Islands and you know the US Virgin Islands and kind of get the same feel but you know for more bang and it's a bit closer, you don't have to fly as far.
Of course. I want to shout out to Leon Burks who says don't ever wait to be in a relationship to go somewhere.
Very true. I know Leon, he's amazing. He's one of my tribe members and he's absolutely right. He's probably one of the people that told me that when I told them that I was holding out on Santorini.
Nice. You know what? I can't believe it. Like we already like 37 minutes into the show, and like we haven't even talked to you about what we wanted to talk to you about. But you gave us some amazing insight, and I really hope that anyone who's looking to travel and stuff like that, that they really take this kind of advice because it's the stuff that you don't want to go to, like you know, like a regular. These are the top 10 places to go to, you know, in a travel blog. You want to know like insidery, at least for me, and that's the kind of way that I like to travel. But for you, the travel bug enter your life? Is this something like you did as a child growing up? Like, did your parents take you out of the U.S., or is it something that you know, like you kind of were curious about exploring the world?
It as a child, like my stepfather is Jamaican, so we used to go to Jamaica to go stay with my grandparents every year. So as a child, you know, Jamaica was like the big thing. And then we used to do, on my father's side, my biological father's side, we used to do road trips from New York down to North and South Carolina to see a lot of my family on that side. So we were moving, but it wasn't anything. I'm the first person in my family that is definitely a pioneer in this way. Nobody in my family travels the way I travel. I'm not following anybody's footsteps. I am very much chartering my own path when it comes to my personal life. And only with creating Nomadness has my network, even of friends, been able to morph. And that's why I started Nomadness, because I didn't have people that I felt like I could talk to. And that was important for me as I was going through a lot of, navigations in my early 20s, getting reacclimated to reverse culture shock, which is like coming back home and being stunned and not knowing what the hell was going on with your life. But it really wasn't until I graduated college. I had a best friend from high school who was living out in Paris. She was working and studying abroad. Her last month living in Paris was the same month of a filmmaking workshop I was doing with the New York Film Academy, but they did it in Paris based at La Femis Film School. So I went to the film school in Paris and did it out there and shared a bed, a little flat. We shared a bed together every night. We shared a small refrigerator, like everything. She was like, you can stay here for free. Like, I would love to have company. And literally, like, her last day living in the flat was the day before my last day. And I remember sitting in front of the Eiffel Tower by myself that afternoon, trying to figure out how the hell I was going to go from Paris, France, back to Poughkeepsie, New York, after graduating. And I was like, this newfound love for travel and curiosity. I've always been a curious, even as a child, I'm always curious about stuff. I need to figure everything out. And I was like, I want to bridge my love for television and mass communications, however that shows itself, with this newfound love of travel. And I didn't know what that was going to be like. That was in 2006 where I said that to myself. And I didn't start Nomadness until 2011. And it was a web series first. My web series and blog started in 2010, so it was still a couple years after that where it really started to take off. But I also, in high school, right, I grew up in a single-parent home the majority of my life. And I went to a very affluent, primarily Caucasian school, right? I've been token black girl for a couple of academic years of my life.
Cher and I both.
Yeah.
Right.
That world's like.
It's like commencement speaker, college graduating class, all the way down to like, all of that stuff everywhere. So, I was that person, but I was always a part of everybody's group. I could blend into everybody's group. And everybody knew me because of that. And I remember the house party that one of my friends had, Joey Tamweber, had in Poughkeepsie. And I was standing there amongst a bunch of my friends that were the same age as me, and they were recollecting the summer that they spent abroad in Paris. And they're throwing out these names and places that they've been to, this, that, and the other, and I could not contribute anything to this conversation whatsoever. I was like probably a sophomore in high school, junior in high school. And I made a silent promise to myself while I was standing there with them. I said, one day I'm going to be able to contribute to this conversation. Now, forget it. Like now they're like coming to me for everything. And it's weird, the little things, like they don't even know that I was thinking this, but it's those little motivation factors that really shape you into the person that you're becoming later on. Those little promises that you make and you make sure you keep to yourself, that changes everything.
When you think about now, like how you said, like, this was you in 2006. In 2010, you come up with a travel blog, and now 2011, you start Nomadness. But do you feel like now you're living like you have a business, or do you feel like you're living your life of passion, and you just so happen to have been able to create a business from it?
Both, but I think even more important than the two that you gave, I feel like I am living the life that is the responsibility about why I was born. Like, and that was a big thing for me. And, I've gotten emotional in the past even talking about it. When you figure out why you were put on this planet, you live your life completely different. The amount of faith that you have, and I'm not talking religion, I'm talking faith, like faith in yourself, the amount of faith that you have that everything is going to work out and that you're a vessel and you need to just put in the work. It's just all about the man hours at that point in time, and everything else will come to you. The creativity will come to you. The money will come to you. The proper network and people will come to you. The opportunities that you need will come to you. When you trust in all that and you just bust your ass to make sure that you are doing what you are supposed to do because you felt like you were born for it, that is when your life changes. And that's the type of life that I lead.
I love that.
I do. And from Dixie Lincoln Nichols, she just has thoughts here. She's like, I suffer from wanderlust, and so does my 10-year-old daughter. I'm thinking about homeschooling her next year so we can travel. Is this selfish? She really wants to go. So you guys are talking about living the dream of traveling, and she has a 10-year-old. So the first thing I'd like to tell her to do is check out one of our older episodes in season 1, because we had the globe-trotting mama. Yeah, Heather Greenwood Davis. And she took her family for a year and traveled the world and blogged about that for National Geographic. So it can be done. But what do you suggest? Because Evita, like, I know you don't have children, but when you talk about this rich passion, when you're talking about how important it was, like, this is literally your lifeblood. This is what you're meant to be and who you're meant to be. While the situation is not exactly the same, do you have any advice for Dixie as far as following that dream and taking her kids who seem to have the same passion with her?
And I was going to say, my biggest thing is I think you need to have an honest conversation and discourse with your children and really listen to them. I think a lot of times people don't give children enough credit, and they should, because they know more than, you know, they think they do. And I think your children, really, it's going to be their life that shape-shifts the most. And at 10 years old, you're still in very influential years of your life. And I think it's actually a cool time to be able to do something like that, because they're old enough where they will remember the memories. Yet they're young enough where it won't completely throw them off course if you do actually take this route. So do I think it's selfish? Absolutely not. Do I think it's different? Yeah. But that's fine, you know, as long as it works for you and your family. But I would really have not an adult conversation, but I would have an honest conversation and a responsible conversation with your kids. And I think if they're on board with it, and you can find a way that doesn't derail them academically and doesn't derail you financially for a year, I say go for it.
I agree. Like, after we had Heather on our show, I totally felt like, I mean, like, I've always loved, like, it's on my vision board when it comes to life, like, how to live life abundantly. It's to go and experience how other people live. It's to, you know, I think, like, one time when you are, like, I remember I having a job and like a 9 to 5, and it was like a Tuesday, and I was like, you know what, like, those people are, like, doing whatever they do at my job. But I was like, here I am, like, I'm on the beach soaking up rays on the other side of the world. And I'm like, this is amazing to be in a position where I'm not driving down, like, the highway right now to get home, but I'm literally enjoying a whole different culture. And that's how I feel when I travel. It's like, forget about the other way and, like, realize that every day we live in our own little bubble of, like, oh, I have to go here, and I have to do this, and I have to go to work, and I have to drive down the highway, or I have to go pick up my kids at the school. But that same time, you can kind of be transplanted into a whole different world and experience something you've never experienced before. And to me, that's a magical thing. So I ask you, why do you think you have this tribe of, you know, 8,000 plus people, you know, that come and they're a part of Nomadness, you know, and, you know, some people come and they participate in these travel adventures. But what do you think the magic is that exists there between your group? You know, that makes it different from, let's say, hey, let me go and be a part of any other kind of travel group. What do you think is the magic that exists with your group?
The people. It is, it's funny because we've been doing this. I know you said that you've watched certain, you know, web episodes, recaps and stuff of our previous trips. One of the questions, you'll see snippets of interviews that I take with certain members that are on each trip. One of the questions I ask them is, finish this sentence, Nomadness is. 95% of the time, I interview them differently. They have no idea what the other person said, and almost all of them say family. And that is really what's at the epicenter of this. Nomadness isn't just a travel group, it's a culture. And it is a family of people that may not even be understood by their biological families for this need to travel and see the world. They may be in a position where they're being, you know, they feel like they're selfish, but that's because it's something that's programmed from the other people that are in their lives that are really trying to make them feel that way, and it's not. You know, that wanderlust is for real, that travel bug is for real, that itch is for real, and they've been able to harness that feeling with a positive connotation within a group of almost 9,000 people all around the world who live and feel just like them every single day. And that's what it's about. It's about being a part of a community that is bigger than yourself. You know, I don't use the word movement often. I think I feel like people throw the word around way too much, especially when they start something new. I'm like, you need to kind of be anointed into being told that you're a movement rather than like coming out the gate and, you know, claiming that. I feel it's a bit preemptive on a lot of people's parts, but Nomadness is very much an international and world movement. The fact that I can, and anybody in my group can travel to any country in the world that they've ever wanted to go to and now know somebody who has either been there or is living there right now, like that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. And to know that those people are like-minded. The other difference is if you just go on a group trip, you don't know who you're going to be thrown in the pot with. And I have my own ways of like, you know, deviling out information on the trips and stuff like that. But the cool thing is once I reveal, which doesn't happen right away, who's on the trip, they usually don't find out who's on the trip until about 4 to 6 weeks before we leave. That once they get together, they're like, oh my gosh, I always wanted to meet you and this, and they realize that they've had conversations and rapport with these people within the day-to-day communications and functions of Nomadness, and now they get to take that same communication offline and create actual memories abroad with these people. And if you were to do a group trip with anybody else, you're just kind of being thrown to the river. You may have experiences, but they don't have history to them before you get to where you're going.
Mm-hmm. How would you describe the group itself? Like when I was reading an article, I think it was in Madame Noir, and it was about Nomadness, and they said a lot of the women, a lot of the people who travel with your group are women. Like, how would you describe your group makeup?
Well, the demographics are pretty straightforward. We're about, I would say, 85% African American. But we have all different types of ethnicities, Caucasian, you know, South Pacific, you know, African, you know, just literally all over the place, Latino and Latina, Spanish. And we also, our age demographic, our biggest saturation, which is about 70%, is between the ages of 21 to 45. So it's definitely very much geared towards a lot of the millennials. And we definitely go higher than that. We have had higher than that on our trips. It's more of an energy and kind of like lifestyle. I've had a 60-year-old that most people probably didn't know was 60 years old on one of my trips before. And she's dope, and everybody loves her, and everybody swears that she's lying about her age. So again, it's an energy, and she keeps up with everybody. Like, it's nothing. There is no separation with us once we're all on the ground together, and that's what makes it really, really great. But as far as the you know, gender separation, we are highly skewed female. We're about 80% female, almost 3 to 1 in the tribe.
Wow.
Well, I mean, it makes it great for singles. That's one thing I think that a lot of people are afraid to do. Like, if you think of, you know, Toronto's a very big travel city in the sense that a lot of people go off to, like, the Caribbean and stuff like that, and you always have to go with a friend because you need to have someone to share the room with. So, like, that's all you do. You go to, like, an all-inclusive resort, but really traveling, if you want to go out on your own, that's going to take a big step for you to be like, hey, I'm actually going to go and do something by myself. And I love that the group that you have is a family, and that people can start having, you know, meeting people through meetups, meeting them socially, because that's the social community that you have. And it kind of prepares someone so that they can kind of build relationships before they actually go on an adventure, but that they can feel safe and comfortable saying, hey, okay, you know what? I don't rely on my girlfriend or a family member or my partner to join me on this adventure, but I can go off and do something my own, meet some really great people, and I can have, like, worldwide friends. I think that's, like, so important, and I think offering that to people is such a bonus, because people need to feel safe and need to feel like, you know, that they're out there with like-minded people.
And you touched on something, because it's a little bit of both on our trips, because the other cool thing too about Nomadness trips is I call it organized freedom. So we have an itinerary, and there's certain things that are mandated, but the whole itinerary is not mandated. So if we're going to a museum or something on Thursday and you decide that you don't want to go, you don't have to go. we'll see you at dinner later on that night. Just let us know that you're safe and keep it moving. And nobody's going to catch feelings. Where when you start going and traveling with family and friends, it's like, I don't want to do this today. Somebody got an attitude. And it's like, we don't have time for that. Because we all do this, nobody's going to look at you crazy or have any bad blood towards you if you don't want to join the group. And as the organizer, I'm not going to feel any type of way about it either. You're not going to hurt my feeling. I'm going to have more than enough people I need to make sure I can take care of during that time. But that's another cool bonus with us, is that you're not like in entrapment, you know, to whatever the itinerary is and whoever the people are. So it's like you can do a little bit of both, which I think is smart on our trips, because you have the safety in numbers, but then you can even kind of dip out and get a little bit of that taste test of what it's like to do certain stuff on your own as well.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I mean, like, I know that, like, when I went, like, if I go somewhere, I don't tend to want to go to, like, I could be easygoing and being like, hey, let's go check out some, like, really awesome beaches, but I don't need to be where the tourists are. Like, right. I probably wouldn't go to a museum, but I would go and find something else that would, you know, that I would love. Sometimes a little iffy when it comes to food. Like, I remember being in, like, I don't even know, it wasn't even like it was crazy, but it was like Barbados, and I think, like, I had, like, heat stroke, and I just didn't want to feel like eating the food. But there's other times that I'm like, yeah, like, let's totally be a part of, you know, the whole culture. And it's right. I love that the flexibility is there, because I think that when you're with a travel group, it's like you have to do all this. You can only be here for 2 hours, and then you have to move on.
I can't do that. I don't like feeling like that, so I would never make other people feel like that. I'd be like, yo, get off me. You know, let me live. So I mean, I get it, because you have to remember too, I'm a backpacker who's been the majority of my travels before I started Nomadness. I was travel as a backpacker by myself. So that was like a big thing, and it was still a preference. I had never, ever, ever, ever gone on a group trip before I started making them.
So let's take us through the process, like, as a business perspective for Nomadness. I mean, you have this idea, you're able to create a business out of it. One of the things that you were able to use is leverage Kickstarter. Talk a little bit about that, and now you know, there's other opportunities that you have created from doing Nomadness. So talk to us how you kind of you utilize that platform in order to kind of get funding.
Right. I want something to note is when I started Nomadness, I didn't know I was starting a business. It grew into it. First off, when I started the tribe, I just needed a place to vent because my boyfriend at the time didn't know how to deal with me. And it was like, right, it was just like, you know, but I had I caught dengue fever, like backpacking in Cambodia, and I was like sick, I was broke, like I had just got done shooting this like other travel web series I was cast on. I was the only chick in the house, and it was just like, it was just a lot. It was a lot. And so I was like, yo, I need to vent. I need to find people that are like-minded with me. Let me start Nomadness. I had no idea that 3 weeks after conception, we were going to have a meetup and 40 people were going to show up in New York City. I had no idea that 3 months after its conception, we were going to be in Panama, in Bocas del Toro, and all of a sudden I was like, you know, trip leader, and I'm like, I've never done this before. Like, either this is going to be amazing. Expert. Right. I was like, either this is going to be amazing or it's going to fall so horribly wrong, down in flames, and I'm just going to have to watch it and never do this ever again. But it ended up being good. And our first trip, you know, thanks to Tamika Anderson, it landed in the pages of Ebony magazine. So within like 7-8 months, I'm like, what the hell happened? Like, you know, all of a sudden people want t-shirts, and it's like, okay, maybe I can make t-shirts. And then it's like, now we have an online store, and our shirts, people are recognizing each other as tribe members because of what they're wearing when they see each other at the airport. And it's like, I
got more stamps than you.
Right. I mean, to this day, like, it's our biggest selling one. And like, we just have the new shirt, you know, Michelle Lee, one of our tribe members, said it one day, and we were like, yo, can we use this as a shirt? And she was like, yeah. But she says, friends don't let friends stay domestic. And right now, it's like my favorite shirt that we have. I can't wait to like unleash it again for our sale for our Small Business Saturdays. But it's just like the ideas. I'm an idea person. I'm a creative first. I'm an artist first, which I love. I'm learning business along the way. And if there's any message I could really give for people out there who, you know, don't have an MA and don't have that background, is you're never going to get it perfect. Just start. start somewhere and perfect it along the way. That is a journey, and it's not a destination because you're never going to get there. But what you need to do is just perfect along the way and learn along the way. Like every little thing, from somebody asking for a t-shirt, somebody talking about a membership card, somebody talking about wanting to do group trips, like all of those things were not on my agenda at all. I just wanted to talk. That was it. And these people wanted to move, and I was like, okay, all right, now we have to like rethink this. But it really was just an acceptance of the ebb and flow, and that's been a lot of stuff. And as far as Kickstarter and crowdfunding is concerned, that's been a huge part of my life. From the consulting, but for me, I've done 3 overly successful campaigns. Our biggest one was last spring, 2013. We actually raised over $25,000 in a month and a half and 45 days, and had sponsors YRB Magazine and Hotels.com come on. And what we did is we did a cross-country college RV tour. And I targeted HBCUs. And so for 3.5 weeks, I was on the road like a damn rock star. We drove from New York City. We drove from New York City to Los Angeles over 3.5 weeks, and I gave college presentations about travel and diversity to university students, something that I still do now. You know, I still get hired to be a keynote. I actually love speaking, especially to the college audience, because I can say whatever comes out of my mouth and not have to worry about it later. But I love speaking, and I was a performer in college. I used to do spoken word, so I'm not used to standing up in front of a bunch of people and, you know, just letting it rip. So I love keynote speaking. That's probably my second favorite thing outside of traveling. And I found a way to be able to bridge that with a lot of the crowdfunding, and it's a way to lean into your community, because I think what crowdfunding has done across the board is it's leveled the playing field for have and have-nots. And that's dope, because now if you're creative with a great idea, you can get it funded by your network, and you don't have to worry about some big corporation, you know, slamming doors in your face. And then you prove.
I think we had a delay, but yeah, no, I think so. But you also like put on seminars and stuff like that and teach people how to use this platform. That's correct, right?
Yeah, Crowdfunding Mastermind is the class that Ariel and I have put together. And pretty much she came from an advertising and marketing, digital marketing background, where I came from the point of view of somebody who created a culture, really, and a movement, and had an audience already built in. And we kind of attacked the crowdfunding conversation from 2 completely different points of view and different angles. And it's really like the most comprehensive crowdfunding program that you can get. It's a 3-hour webinar, and then we have 7 free expert interviews, and our expert interviews range, like Issa Rae from Misadventures of an Awkward Black Girl is one of them. One of my favorites is this guy, Fam Mirza, who does One Face Watches, and you literally get expert interviews from people who have raised as little as $3,000 and as much as over $250,000.
Wow.
And so it runs the gamut, and every single person that we interviewed is in a completely different genre. Nobody overlaps. So you get a very comprehensive view and one-to-one information on what it was like to make a campaign successful.
And who do you feel what success have you seen from, you know, educating people in that platform?
It's one of the first things, and it's funny because when Ariel and I spoke about even starting crowdfunding, I was like, we need to have an entire section in this course about the psychology of crowdfunding, because so much of it is mental. And you can defeat yourself before you even push launch or start brainstorming, and it's terrifying. I can tell you every time, it's terrifying as hell. I may be doing another one next year for a huge event that Nomadness is putting together, and it's terrifying now just thinking about it. So that's normal, you know, and really accepting that, but giving people the tools and really starting with the confidence to be able to ask for help, understanding that asking for help is not asking for a handout. You're not begging anyone for anything. And you should never be made to feel as though you are, because that's not what's going down. But just giving them the tools to be able to do that. You know, we literally cover everything from like email marketing, what platform, what your reward should be, how long your campaign should be. Like, it's just, we break so much stuff down, and it's amazing to see more times than not creatives be able to hone in on their genius, really, and be able to have it flourish and come out into something that's, you know, brought to fruition.
No,
Well,
I love
Sorry, you definitely speak so passionately about this. I know a lot of people are really excited about even the idea of exploring crowdfunding. Where can people find more information about your product and how so they can purchase it, download it, and download your knowledge so they can apply it to their idea and really just start?
Right. I would say you can go to my website, which is evierobbie.com, EVIEROBBIE.com. And I say that because on the homepage, you'll literally see the links to 2 online classes that I have right now, which is the Crowdfunding Mastermind with Ariel, but we also did another one earlier in the year called Touring for Startups. And that was really our background in her case, international touring, and for me, domestic touring with the RV tour. So, you know, if either of them strikes a chord with anyone, definitely check that out.
What I love about, you know, the space that we're in right now as entrepreneurs is I love that, you know, we can take kind of like a case study, which is your life, you know, what you did, take your experience, and then it's awesome when you're able to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to tell you exactly what I did. I'm going to talk to you about, you know,
right.
falls, the successes, you know, kind of like here's my blueprint, and you're able to now, people can now, instead of like going and navigating through the internet and trying to find the answers, they can be like, hey, here's an expert now because she's been able to be successful in it. And I love that we're in that space in the world that you can go online and you can be like, hey, how can I duplicate the success of somebody else?
Right.
You know, get that insider knowledge. And I love that you, as you said in before, that you have a couple of different genres, no one's overlapping, so that, you know, for anyone who's like watching tonight who is interested in doing crowdfunding or, you know, starting a business and stuff like that, that they can go to those kind of resources and have that, because I think it's invaluable. Sometimes you don't get access to those people, but online with like the way that things work now, it's like you have access to those people, so there kind of really is like no excuse. It's like kind of like go out there, research it, and like whatever it is that you're looking to tackle, you could potentially find.
Absolutely, and that's why I need to finish my book. Get this thing out.
No, absolutely. Like, I mean, people are probably chomping at the bit right now for what's in between your 2 ears, because that's just some incredible knowledge. And like Lori said, like just being able to fast track, to cut to the chase and get the information fast so that you can start making money yourself. It's all about, you know, downloading from someone else's brain and then just hacking into it. And that's what we're doing today with you.
Yeah, no, I love that. Okay, so I mean, we're already over the hour, but and it's so weird because I feel like our show is like we like talk to people and we're like, oh my gosh, it's going over an hour, but we're talking about like really awesome stuff. What is the goal for 2015? Where are you guys going? Do you have that already kind of planned? Where Nomadness is going next year?
I can only release to you what has been released to them, because there is definitely an element of surprise with what I do and the way that I deal with Nomadness. We will definitely be going back to India. We have a long weekend trip that's going to be in January to Jamaica, actually for Rebel Salute. I don't know if you've ever been to Rebel Salute.
No, never. Both Cher and I are Jamaican. We have a Jamaican background.
Nice.
So I never knew that. But
Right. And I have also released the fact that we're going to Amsterdam, and then right after our Amsterdam trip, we're doing London, but we are staying in a castle during the tail end of the London trip, which is nuts. So
when is that going to be?
It's going to be, it's literally the end of May going into the beginning of June. Yeah, so that's what we have on the deck for there. But like I said, we have a big project that we're doing that I can't release publicly yet.
When are you announcing?
I don't know yet. We have to, right now it's about forging the partnerships that we need, and so far so good, but we just need a couple more on board. It may be the crowdfunding campaign that I end up launching. So if we do the crowdfunding route, they'll know at the beginning of the year because we're going to start a campaign for it. But if not, they'll start hearing about it around spring. It's going to be something for the fall, more specifically right around Nomadness's anniversary weekend.
Awesome. And if for anyone who's never gone on a Nomadness, like, what is the financial investment that people are like looking like just off the bat? Like, what is it that they could be investing on going on this adventure?
The majority of our trips, the buy-ins are less than $500. We don't get involved in flights because our members live all over the place, and I'm not a travel agent. I'm not interested in it. I like to curate experiences for people. And so I build the itinerary, you know, take care of the lodging and what comes with the lodging, those amenities as well. But they normally average under 500, but we have this kind of like high-low thing that we started where we're going to have, as we do double trip drops, one of our trips is usually our, you know, 500 or under, and then we're going to have some that are a little bit more upscale, and really just like unique experiences. Our first high was the castle. So you kind of get where I'm going with it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That's awesome. And then you can just go, and where can people find out about, you know, your trip launches and all that kind of stuff?
They can go to www.nomadnesstv.com. That's the main website. And if you go to the home page, just click home on there, you'll actually see the, it's kind of embedded and undercover. We're like a really cool travel group that is like this this cult. So with that, you can just find the link. It's actually highlighted, the link to the Facebook group, and we can get you in there. It's a hefty line. We have over 2,000 people that are waiting to get into my group right now. It's like nuts.
Gosh, I want to get into the group. Can you please fast track?
I can fast track you guys.
Can I Cher? Because Cher is like, for anyone who is afraid to travel, like, speak to someone like Cher Jones here, my cousin, who, I mean, I'm going to have to probably strong arm her to be like, can we just go on this and like do it? Because
Cher, they will break you in. They'll break you in hard too. They smell blood, man. That's why you have to have at least one passport stamp to get in. So you qualify, but they're going to be like, what? And they're just going to, they'll break you in. They cherish it. They have found a home, and I don't take anything away from that. I think it's a beautiful thing, and they remind me of it every single day.
It's like initiation.
Right. One of my friends, we have people who really don't want their friends and family in the group. So they're like, I call them tribe snobs, and it's an affectionate title, but it's funny. And the funniest one that I've ever heard, like, people make excuses as to how they get in. And Patricia, one of our members that's based out of New Orleans, she has this running joke where she tells people that she got jumped into the tribe. And I'm like, you can't say this.
Please don't say that.
I'm like, you can't say this. She's just like, it just, like, people leave me alone afterwards. I'm like, oh, it's hysterical. So yeah, they come up with their own anecdotes. But yeah, you guys, you both qualify, so I can definitely fast track you.
Woo! You know, I'm gonna like go on Facebook in a second.
I know, right now.
Right.
I'm like, you're speaking my. I'm like, you said $500. Don't worry, I got the plane ticket all taken care of. But,
you sure do.
Right.
One of the things that I want to say is, you know, you said like now you've found your purpose in life. That's one of the things that kind of was like your aha moment. You have found your purpose. You allow people these options in life. When you look forward, you know, I'm really big on 2020. What does that look like for Evie Robbie? Because I don't know, 2020, the date, like, you know, the news show, but it's like 2020 is going to be like what it was like to party in 1999 into 2000.
Right. Yeah. Right. We are going to have our own television show. Which is something I've been gunning for a lot. My two big personal dreams, even before Nomadness, is I wanted my own travel series, and I also wanted my own book. I think by 2020, I'll be on my second, if not third book.
Nice.
But really, we'll be on a different platform. We'll completely have phased off of Facebook and into our own social network. We'll have apps. I have a really cool idea for actually a tech startup that I haven't even spoken to my team about this, actually. But I have a really cool idea for a travel-oriented tech startup. You're going to see a lot more partnerships. That's actually going to happen now, because what's happened is Nomadness has become a vehicle for inspiration, also mimicry, actually, for certain people, but that's another story. But inspiration for people who want to kind of like take the travel reign, you know, and shape it into something that is unique to them. And there's been a couple of people that have kind of grown out of Nomadness and created their own things, but they're a unique lane, and they're very respectful with the way that they've gone about it. And we want to make a space for them in Nomadness as a part of the big. So you're going to start to see partnerships, even in the realm of trips, actually, where we partner with certain people and see what type of experiences we can create when we put, two different brands and more heads together and, see what magic happens. But there's going to be a lot. And I really want to say that the conference, that the whole thing that I'm looking at for like fall, but I'm holding on to it a little bit longer, but
hold on to it. It's not good.
Can you tell me offline? Like, I swear to God, I will not say anything.
Maybe.
One of the things I want to say, like when we're talking about 2020 and you're just kind of putting it out there, I think Carmen Rojas, she mentioned something from Paulo Coelho from The Alchemist. Have you ever read that?
Paulo Coelho, yeah.
Says, and when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it.
Yep.
And I think it was so fitting.
Practitioner.
Exactly. So I think it was so fitting that she just wrote that in, and like you just kind of put out there to the universe exactly what you expect with your life with Nomadness TV. I love that. I love law of attraction. I love that positive energy. So I just feel like that was a really great synergy that kind of just happened online. And yeah, thanks, Carmen, for doing that. And okay, so let's just clear up any of the questions that we have before we end, Evie. Let's just go through some of the things. Okay, so Carmen actually, I'll put this up on the screen. Carmen actually said, question for Evita. My husband is in the Navy and wants to go to Bahrain. I hear that Bahrain and some other places are actually tourist friendly. Would you go?
I would go. I would just do research. And like I said, with Nomadness, what's unique is I usually have people that are somewhere, so I can actually talk to people that are on the ground. I understand that that's way more difficult for people that aren't inside of the actual belly of the network, but I would do as much direct research as humanly possible, meaning if you can find people that are there or talk to people who have gone recently and then kind of rope them into what the plans are. And with your husband being in the Navy, like I think that he's probably got a sense of intel that maybe even you're not privy to that would really dictate, him going, and wanting to come, wanting you to come as well. I'm all about trying to get ears and feet on the ground. That's my biggest thing. The closer I get to the ground, that's what I'm listening to. It's like what we just went through with South Africa. Everybody was like, oh my God, Ebola. And I'm like, we're nowhere near it. And I'm talking to the people that live there and that have just been there in my group. And it's like, that's where I get my news sources from.
And that's the thing, is like I remember there was a map of where Ebola was in Africa, and it was like 3 little tiny places. Africa's a continent, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's good to have someone like you where they can express those fears and feel comfortable enough to say them to you, you know what I mean? And not feel like, oh my gosh, you're going to look at me a certain way for asking this kind of question, because it's really just a question, but I feel awkward asking it. So, I mean, that's the beauty of your tribe as well, is just to be able to ask those questions and know you're going to get an answer through experience. So.
Well, Evie, we have a guy who just left a message a couple of weeks ago on our Facebook page. As an entrepreneur, Cher and I are both entrepreneurs in our own right. And the question that he asked is, he feels like he's been truly blessed by, the success that Cher and I have had doing, I guess, the Lori and Cher show. So we want to say thank you so much for that, Christian, purpose-driven. And he's looking to start a clothing business. Is there any information that, we can share in terms of how to be successful at that when it comes to kind of starting a business? What insight do you have for that?
Know what your purpose is. And I don't just mean in regards to what the overall business is, but what does your brand represent? What do you represent? What does your brand represent? And how do the two of them intersect? And you have to make sure that you are walking your walk. If I was to start Nomadness and always source out my trips to somebody else on my team and nobody ever saw me with feet on the ground, or I wasn't a backpacker beforehand, my story and my business would be completely different. So I think you need to really zone in on what you want your brand and your story to represent. What is your why, is what a lot of people say. Why are you doing it? And how can you project the answer to that why to other people, because that's what they're going to be looking for. Nowadays, people don't just buy stuff anymore. They buy stuff that it feels good to buy because they're either connected to the person, they're connected to the story, they're connected to the story that the brand sells. There's got to be something deeper for people, a more emotional component, because we're saturated with everything and everything now. Like,
Sure.
Literally, there's multiple options. There's like tons of options for absolutely everything out there that you could think of. So what is it about you and your story and your brand that's going to stand out and resonate with other people? And I would try to find those people first.
Awesome. Cher, what do you have as advice as an entrepreneur, you know, talking to purpose-driven?
I guess Evita actually talked about it a little bit earlier, is just starting, just doing. Like, I mean, you'll get the momentum through pushing forward, and you will make mistakes, and that's okay. Your logo's going to change. Your design and direction may even change, because that change can only happen through growth. That change can only happen through experience. You're never going to get it right the first time, and that's something that I had to realize. And even today, as I what I like to call, I'm a recovering procrastipreneur. So, and I'm really, you know, trying to work at it every day as if it's an addiction to become the entrepreneur that I've been putting off. And it's something that it only happens through growth. It only happens, and the growth is only going to happen through doing, and doing is the cure. So you just got to do it. You got to do it, make the mistakes, and respond quickly, be nimble, and then just keep it moving forward. And be very conscious of the people that you have around you. And because those people who, I mean, Lori has been my accountability partner, and it's been awesome because she checks me on my shit. So it's really important that I have her in my life, that I can roll. And when I'm doing good, she's right there to cheerlead me, but also when I am getting caught up spinning my wheels, she'll check me on that as well.
Yeah, sure. I think we have an appointment, don't we? I'll call you out on this show right now, Cher Jones.
She just called me out in my
procrastination. So do you want to make that appointment with me that we have to do some stuff?
Yeah, we got stuff.
Yeah. You know what? My advice is, I'm a big believer in having a plan. So I definitely say have a plan, kind of, you know, maybe work backwards from what the end goal is and kind of just work it back in terms of little bite-sized steps. But, you know, have a plan for the direction. And I mean, like, your plan can change, and it doesn't mean that you have to go just one way to wherever your final end goal is, but at least have some kind of purpose and direction to where you want to go. I know that we have meant to answer this question for the last couple of weeks, so hopefully, you know, this information or this advice is, you know, useful to you. We just want to thank Evie for being on the show. We had an awesome time talking about
Likewise, thank you.
And I mean, it was definitely a good show, and I'm inspired to get back and get my travel, my love for travel. I mean, it's something that I can't say it's going to end for me this year, and you know what, when I have kids, it's something I'm going to want to expose them to, because I think experiencing, you know, every travel does different things to different, you know, you can be afraid of it, but once you kind of experience it and you get to see other people and you see other cultures, you realize that the bubble you live in, like, there's so much more to life. There's so much, you know, great food. There's so much culture. There's so many awesome things that you've never imagined that you can see. And that, to me, is what travel is just to be able, that to me is life. To go and live abundantly is to go and see that. And I'm a passionate person when it comes to those things, because I'm all about, like, I'm very boring when I'm here in Toronto. I'm very boring. I can stay home all the time, but when I go out, you know, when I leave, I can sometimes want to go and, like, spend the whole day out. That's the time when I feel like I get to be Lori. I get to be, you know, a whole different person. So I love that. And
Evita, I definitely want to say that you lit a fire under Lori right now, because she is on fire. This whole show, she's just been all about you. I can definitely see how she's inspired you, and you've inspired me as well. And a lot of our viewers, we've had so many people stick on. We're like at 10:23, an hour and 23 minutes. 23 minutes normal in our normal show, but it was definitely a great show. And I want to thank you for that inspiration, and thank you for just sticking around and just sharing everything everything you know, sharing that experience, sharing your tribe. And I just want to recommend anybody out there who has the travel bug, who's even afraid like me, and wants to explore this opportunity in this amazing world that we have around us, to definitely connect with Evie online and through. You're on Twitter, you're on Facebook, you're everywhere. I mean, on your website. So it's definitely somewhere where we want to get people connecting to you. And I'd like to thank you so much for joining us. And
no, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome. And I just want to just tease what's coming up on the Lori and Cher show, the Great Black Hair Debate. 4 major issues, 4 panels of experts. It's going to be a wild show. We're going to have so many moving parts to the show, but it's going to be awesome. Because these are things that we're going to touch on, things that we're talking about. You know, what's the corporate look? Is there a corporate look? Why is there so much divisive attitudes towards the women who want to wear a weave as opposed to women who want to wear their hair natural? Why is there so much issues within the black community, as well as, you know, who at the end of the day we could be arguing all we want, but who's making the money off of it? So we're going to be talking about that. So this is definitely a hot topic that everybody's going to want to touch on while we're here.
Yes, that's December 2nd.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we want to thank everybody for watching. And if you missed the last episode of Lori and Cher, you can definitely check it out on BuyBlacks.com, where all of the replays can be found there. And we were hacking into social change with Derek Kayungo. And, of course, if you stuck around this long, I mean, 1 hour and 24 minutes, you should subscribe to Lori and Cher. Give us a shout-out. Like.
Thumbs up. You should give some comments.
Yeah, because... we're working hard for this, and we're working hard to find you awesome guests so that you can hack into those their brains, and learned a lot about crowdfunding. So definitely stick with us. We appreciate you joining us on the show. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, that's it.
See you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.